Survivor China is a season that never seems to be absent from the ever discussed top 10 Survivor seasons, but I still think it's still underappreciated in another domain. Seasons that were quote important for the development of Survivor are usually mentioned to be earlier, less complex seasons like Borneo, Africa, and Guatemala with the Idol. It's pretty rare to hear someone make an argument that China is one of the most important seasons that Survivor ever produced. What if I tell you that Survivor China is responsible for everything you think of as Survivor today? All your favorite seasons in the community, literally all of it would not exist if it wasn't for Survivor China. And so ladies and gentlemen, today we'll be telling the story of the season that not only saved a series, but also dawned the golden age of Survivor.
39 days, 16 people, 1 survivor.
And with that, I need to ask how everybody is doing today. We are now on season 15 of our 40-day long Survivor Retrospective adventure, and I hope none of you are getting burnt out with seeing these daily uploads every single day. In some ways, I'm getting a little burnt out as well, but after finally finishing the post-classic era of Survivor, I have found a second win to cover my favorite era in Survivor's long 40-season history. If you can recall, during my very first video covering Survivor Borneo, I mentioned a big inspiration for the entire series was Peridium's video discussing the different eras of Survivor, and we finally made it to the golden age, or the golden era of the show. I would argue that this isn't just the longest stretch of quality seasons, but also the most important stretch of Survivor seasons ever. Don't worry, we'll discuss that later on in the video, but for now, I just want to say a quick thank you to all of you who have been watching my videos and sharing some positive comments. It's truly putting a smile on my face, and I can't believe someone is actually enjoying the videos I'm making. I'm a little behind schedule right now, but I 100% promise I'll be responding to every single one of your comments, so keep commenting and let's continue to have Survivor discussions in my videos. And if you're new to the channel, I bet you're a little confused about everything I'm talking about. Leading up to Survivor season 41, I'm making daily videos covering every single season of Survivor, and so this is the beginning of the golden age of the show. This is the perfect place to start, but these videos really build into each other, and so if you like your stories complete, I recommend clicking the link down in the description that contains every single one of these Survivor retrospective videos. And of course, subscribe to the channel with the bell turned on so you never miss any of these daily videos leading up to Survivor season 41.
I need Amanda and Courtney by my side. You know, they keep me warm. Like, I'm gonna keep anyone warm? I weigh 7 pounds. I can't even keep myself warm. Get off of me.
To understand the importance of China, we first need to back up a little bit and look to the seasons which preceded it. Previous was Peih-Gee, a lackluster and uninspired mess that I consider the worst season of all time. Before Peih-Gee was Cook Islands, a season that while I loved, I can understand the argument that it's a pretty broken season of Survivor. And looking back even a little further with Panama, one of the most polarizing seasons of all time, and finally behind Panama is Palau and Guatemala, a pair of seasons that I argued in my retrospectives that are very messy with the producers unsure what to do. And see, it's right here when you step back and look at the previous batting averages of all the seasons that you start to understand where the community was at. For Survivor, there was a really low average between the previous era of seasons. Even to the more positive crowd, I think it was at the point where Survivor was walking a precarious line. See, the seasons were in the post-classic era that was mentioned as being defined by change, and a lot of that change ended up not working out. They needed to evolve from the likes of Marquesas, Vanuatu, or Thailand, and nothing really came close to nailing the bigger seasons of the show, and this pushed many of the OG fans from the show away. See, up to here, you have to remember that the Survivor community was mostly full of old school fans of the OG, smaller scale seasons, and so these big and confusing seasons weren't what the community viewed Survivor as. Their mind frame of Survivor was completely different to how you might view the seasons today, and these fans had to base the new, bigger format off of seasons like Survivor Guatemala and Survivor Peih-Gee, and so there was a lot of people in the community that were just giving up on Survivor. That was until China.
I'm not trying to be a monk here. Like, I'm tired. I want to go sit back with a lemonade. Like, I don't really want to be like bowing 37 times.
And that brings us to the question, what makes China so good? Well, Survivor China excels at atmosphere and character development. Before you even step into the season, China hooks you in with the intro, introducing you to some of the best locations in Survivor history, and possibly one of the best cast of characters to grace the entire series. It's seriously one of the most effective world-building seasons in Survivor history, managing to convey the entire premise of the season. So the opening scene establishes the overall emphasis that Chinese culture will have on the season as a whole, while at the same time perfectly intertwining it together with amazing character moments. We are shown the importance of playing Survivor in China has on Peih-Gee, and possibly more importantly, we are first introduced to Courtney Yates, doing Courtney Yates things. And whenever Courtney gets some screen time, everybody watching at home's gotta love it. But that's just the very beginning, as throughout the entire season, you can really tell the producers took extra care to showcase the amazing location of China, while also placing an emphasis on highlighting the amazing cast of characters this season had to offer.
600 years ago, there were soldiers running back and forth and cannons, and just to be standing in the same place was amazing.
This season really goes out of its way to incorporate as much of the culture and location into the episodes as they possibly can, and I love every second of it. When thinking about the modern era of Survivor with every season in Fiji, it really makes you miss the unique locations and experiences that Survivor was able to deliver year after year. And to an extent, I believe that's a reason that makes the golden age of Survivor so amazing. We are introduced to China here. We are also given Gabon and Tocantins, as they're both very unique locations. And to round things out perfectly, we also have the classic beach locations found in this era. But it's really here in season 15 where the location and culture really shine through. And the show gets creative, with the challenges having a level of immersion that Survivor is never really able to replicate again. However, it isn't just the challenges themselves that take full advantage of this location, as rewards have players taken to an old village, sleep over at the Great Wall, and a karate show.
I had the 2 idols. I guess I should have played them. Dealing with those people and trying to hold those Fruit Loops together this whole damn time, it was killing me.
But what makes this season so well received by the fanbase is not only the location, but the characters involved. And once again, just like most character-driven seasons, we have some of the biggest names of this era of Survivor come right out of this season. And I think the big 3 we need to discuss are James, Amanda, and Courtney. While Courtney doesn't appear in Survivor all too much, she did become an instant favorite from the super fan community with every scene she comes in. And on the flip side of things, we do get to see a lot of James and Amanda, as these two would end up playing Survivor 3 times over the next 5 seasons, with an amazing story arc, as they always manage to end up on the same tribe. And whenever mentioning James and Survivor China together, you need to include the clip of him getting voted out with 2 idols in his pocket, as that moment always rivals the famous moment from Fans vs Favorites. So let's roll the clip again.
I want to give individual immunity to Natalie.
So I'm just gonna ask, is Todd one of the best first-time winners we've ever seen play Survivor? Drop a comment down below with your thoughts, as I would really like to know what everyone's perception of Todd's winning game is. Because on one hand, I think he's a strategic genius with great gameplay, but on the other hand, as the list of Survivor winners goes on and with seasons after season, I think his game isn't seen as well, making Todd feel overrated in the grand scheme of things. However, I would be super interested to see Todd play modern Survivor and how his gameplay would hold up with a modern strategy.
Winner of Survivor China.
Honestly, I could gush over Survivor China and its characters for another 20 minutes, but I'll keep it short. Chicken scared me. Dave Cruiser had one of the most bizarre pre-merge story arcs of all time. Actually, fellow Survivor YouTuber Tribal had a full video on his channel completely dedicated to this guy. We were introduced to the bizarre relationship between Jamie and Eric, the interesting storyline with the Christian radio host Leslie, fan favorite players like Denise and Frosty, and of course, the controversial Jean Robert. And it needs to be noted that just before this in Survivor Fiji, we had one of the worst cast of characters the show had ever seen, meaning that Survivor China does a fantastic job of rebounding after the bad decisions that were made in the previous seasons. And so right here in Survivor China, character depth is another thing which became a major part of Survivor again after the early years. So not only was China a fantastic season, but it brought about a shift in how people viewed Survivor. It came to be a successful transition into a more character-driven formula, which would also house deeper gameplay.
I can't have someone walking around saying, watch out for Todd. I'm saying watch out for Jean Robert now. I'm here to win $1 million.
Really, at the end of the day, I don't want to make it come off like this is a perfect Survivor season, because it really isn't. But it just has so much fun and exciting things going on for it, you can really look past all the negatives. Well, all the negatives except for the reunion. This might be the first time I'm ever discussing the Survivor reunion in one of my videos, but this is just terrible. If you need a refresher, don't worry, that's exactly what I'm here for. So Jeff straight up asked Courtney if she has an eating disorder, then he continued by asking Eric if he is still a virgin after starting to date fellow castaway Jamie, and then it is finally revealed that Denise straight up scammed CBS a grand total of $50,000. And so while we'll get into it in a couple of days as to why I think Survivor Gabon literally makes no sense, I think the reunion show of Survivor China is very messy and doesn't make any sense at all either.
Every single part of me wants to see Jean Robert go. I just don't like him. He's a horrible person.
Survivor China marked the turning point where Survivor would leave behind the boring characters and stale gameplay and move into something more developed and polished. This formula is the foundation for the entirety of the golden age of Survivor, and so by proxy is what led to the rekindling of Survivor. Not just for the show, but for the community as a whole. RHAP, Peridium, and the entire Survivor YouTube community would not have happened if Survivor had failed to adapt. China showed that the community was ready for more, and I think it gave the producers the confidence to push their skills to the very limit. And so whether you enjoy China or not, at least appreciate it as the first domino to fall as to what would begin the golden age of Survivor. When looking at everything it was able to accomplish, it really was a game-changing season. My final rating for Survivor China is a 9.3 out of 10. S tier.